Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. It's Trevor here. Thanks for joining me. I'm also joined today by my guest, leadership and management consultant, Kimberley Wiefling. Kimberley, before I introduce you more, what's the big takeaway that you're going to be sharing with our listeners today?
Thank you. Well, so many people in this world think that things are impossible. Well, I hope you have an impossible dream right now, because I can tell you from decades of experience that when we say something's impossible, all it means is we can't immediately figure out how to do it. And when you consider that one human being knows less than 1% of everything in the entire universe, you got to believe there's something in that 99% that we don't know that could make impossible possible, even inevitable, sometimes easy.
Well, that sounds good. That's certainly going to stretch our thinking and our perceptions. Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, it's certainly an interesting topic that I'm looking forward to getting into. And a lot of that kind of is built around teams and other people's input and collaboration and all that, isn't it? Which we're going to dig into in more detail.
Hey, you know what? Impossible is a team sport. I would never try this alone. Oh, yeah.
Yep. Yeah. No, that sounds good. So for everybody that hasn't yet met Kimberley, she's the founder of Wiefling Consulting, and she helps businesses solve global problems profitably. She's also an author. She's a speaker. She does workshops. So there's lots of different things, all to help people grow themselves and also their organizations. So lots we can learn from her. So thanks for joining us, Kimberley. Great to have you with us.
My pleasure.
Maybe kick us off with just sharing a little bit about your journeys. You've been in business over 20 years. Certainly have lots of companies and organizations. So tell us a little bit about that journey that's brought you to where you are now.
Oh, I always wanted to have my own business. The thing I should have said was, I want to have my own profitable business, because when the dot-com bust happened in 2001, I got my own business all right, with tons of work and no money. And it was years of scraping by. I mean, I honestly thought, oh, I'll work real hard and in a year it'll be going. Oh, no. I tell people now, don't worry, you start your own business, the first 5 years are the hardest. Yeah, so you just literally, you put in your calendar, okay, when I decide I'm going to quit, I will do it for 6 more months. And I actually did that. Okay, I feel like quitting this day. 6 months from now, I'll really quit. And then 6 months came and went, and I still wanted to quit. And the next week, something happened that tempted me right back into the game. So here I am 20 some years later, still doing my business. Amazing. Even in the freaking pandemic.
Well, yeah. Thankfully, hopefully that's all behind us now. But yeah, the fallout, if you like, from that is still very prevalent with a lot of organizations. Maybe before we dig into sort of like more about the helping people sort of turn groups of people, say, into highly effective teams. But what is it that inspires you to do what you do?
Well, I got my education in physics. So I have a master's in physics and a bachelor's degree in chemistry and physics. And I thought, oh, I'll be a scientist. Then I worked in engineering for 10 years at Hewlett Packard in 7 different jobs. And I was like, oh, dear Lord, I never studied human skills. I didn't know how to communicate with people. I didn't know how to work as a team. I had totally been a geek. And then I had to turn into a human being that could work with other human beings. That was the hardest job of my life.
Yeah. It's an ongoing journey as well, isn't it? I find as well, like, I think people are fascinating, but also it can be connecting and relating and communicating well with lots of different individuals that we cross paths with can be the most challenging aspect, but also the most rewarding. So it's a two-edged sword in lots of ways, isn't it?
Well, if you've ever studied the Enneagram, the 9 different strategies for getting things done. Yeah. When I studied the Enneagram, I realized, those differently gifted people, they're just doing things in a different way, using a different strategy. And all these strategies work. It's just that my way feels right and theirs feels wrong.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. So maybe just to start with, what would be some of the do's and don'ts that you've seen that helps transform, a group of people they're all in the same department, but they're not functioning as well as they could. There's no team aspect, or it's not effective. What would be some of the things that, for people listening that are struggling with their teams, one aspect or another, What are some of the things you've learned on that?
You know, one of the things that, of course, everybody gets and can take action on immediately is, do you really know these other people that you're working with? Have you ever asked them, hey, tell me your life story, starting at birth? Give me the 2-minute version. Have you taken the time to really get to know them and their journey on this planet? And most of the groups I've worked with, there's people working together for 10, 15 years that they don't know certain significant things about these people's life's journey. So I think the first thing you do is everyone gets a piece of paper, graph paper if you're engineering people, all right? And you draw your happiness as a function of time for your whole life, and you show it to people, and you tell your life story about the ups and downs of your life. And you know what happens? You start to see, hey, I'm not the only one that's had ups and downs. And gee, we have a lot in common with each other. In fact, just 2 minutes sharing your life story with somebody, pretty much all the time, you're going to find something that you have in common. And that is the beginning of relationships and trust and true teams.
Wow. Yeah. We could park on that and just, unpack that for the rest of the day. No, that's really good. And it's also, it helps us understand the fact of where people are coming from sometimes as well, and their perspectives of things. That's really good. What would you say would be so for people that think, well, my team would never do that, I could get them all in a room, I could suggest it and all the rest of it, but it just wouldn't work. How would you help people take that step of people being willing to share that sort of the non-work details of life, so to speak?
Well, one of the ways that you can get people to be willing to share more is to get them to have some fun together. Kind of a simple thing is just get people to go outside and have a picnic. I mean, people have to eat, right? Even in times when you can't really get together socially because of some epidemic or pandemic, you still need to be able to get together. And you can do that outside. I had over 200 dinners at a distance at my house during the last 2 years. Every Friday and Saturday night, I would have dinner at my house outside, and people would bring stuff to share, and you start to eat together and talk together. Now, here's what I learned from animals in the jungle. Animals that eat together don't kill each other. So if you can get human beings to somehow have lunch or dinner together, it builds relationships in a way that animals do.
That's really good. Yeah, that's a really good perspective. I like that. Yeah. Cool. Think about that. For everyone listening, think about that after the episode. Think about that a bit more and work out how you can make your team a bit more human by getting them together somehow. Yeah.
Have you known anybody to turn down a free pizza?
No, I certainly wouldn't. No.
Suddenly you shop with free pizza, people are going to stop. They're going to have a piece of pizza. They're going to sit and chit chat. Yeah.
And it's realizing that people are human, isn't it? That I think that can be, for some reason, it sounds so simple, but within a work context, within the pressure with targets and everything else that's, put on responsibilities of teams and things like that. And the people leading the teams as well, you can lose focus on the human aspect quickly by having to sort of deal with figures and targets and things. So really good point to bring out.
Well, of course you need to have those targets. I mean, of course, that's why we stay in business and we can keep doing it next year. One of my colleagues, Patrick Cowden, though, he has created this way of communicating, and he's an old software engineer, okay? And he has created this way of communicating that starts off with something like this. Hey, how are you feeling really? And then he has people just listen and appreciate to that authentic response. Check out Patrick Cowden, The Beyond. I'll get him to come on the show sometime. But this is a different way of communicating than saying, how are you? Oh, I'm fine. How about you? Fine. Oh, that's just a bunch of nonsense.
Yeah. I know exactly what you mean there. It's almost like, we have to say that. And I'm not, you don't want to know, so I'm not going to tell you. Everything's fine. Let's smile and just carry on as a, no, I know what you mean. Yeah. Good stuff. This is good stuff. You've traveled through 20 years of business, as you said. you had the strategy of, when I feel like quitting, I'm going to give myself another 6 months. So that's sort of one way that helped get you through it. But what would be for people that are leading teams and organizations listening now, what would be some of the things you would say that would help them get through the hard times? Because, there's going to be more than one. Sad to say, struggles and challenges. But what's some of the things you've learned and you've realized, actually, this is a really good strategy to navigate myself, but also the people that I'm leading through the tough stuff?
Yeah, well, one thing I did for myself is I put into my calendar a monthly reminder of who I wanted to be and how I wanted to show up on this planet. And when tough times strike, I read that. I don't know if you want me to read a little bit of it, but I'd love to share a bit of it.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
Okay, so I put down, okay, Kimberley, here's your mission. Look at something that's challenging and ask, what might this supposedly bad thing, what might this make possible that was not otherwise possible? In other words, dig into that dirt and find the diamonds. Now is when leadership is needed. This is what your life experience has prepared you for. You can be a beacon of hope and possibility during this time and admit your vulnerabilities, fears, and anxieties. So that's sort of the conundrum, is you can be there, a beacon of hope and possibility, also while you're struggling and letting people know, yeah, I'm struggling too. And you keep going, you keep growing, friends, families, community, colleagues, company, and you keep going together to this new future. You just pause and take a rest. You don't have to stop. If you fall down, get up and keep going.
Yeah. Wise words, definitely. Yeah. And that's you develop the habit of making sure that you focus on that regularly. You keep coming back to, yeah, this is who I am and who I'm becoming and who I'm focused on growing more of. Yeah, that's really good.
Seeing it as a gift, right? Like, thank you. It's a gift. Wow. Thanks a lot. I mean, sometimes I'd rather not have this gift, but you can't tell good luck from bad luck when it's happening. Have you heard about the Chinese horse story? Chinese horse farmer?
No.
So there's a horse farmer in China. He has one horse, a really nice horse, and he's very rich compared to the other people in the village. But one day the horse runs away and people say, oh, that's such bad luck. And he goes, we'll see. And the next day the horse comes back and 17 wild horses follow his horse back. Now he has 18 horses. And the people in the village say, oh, that's such good luck. He goes, maybe. And then the next day his son is trying to break one of the wild horses, but he gets thrown off and his leg is broken, very injured, very badly. And the neighbors say, what bad luck? Perhaps. And the next day the emperor's army comes through, conscripting every able-bodied man of his son's age, but his son can't go because his leg is all mangled. And the neighbors say, what good luck? And it goes on for 500 verses. And you just can't tell good luck from bad luck when it's happening, I'm telling you.
Yeah, that's a good perspective. Yeah, we could, oftentimes we'll dig into it a little bit more in a moment, because I know that's what we're going to get into about making the impossible inevitable. But it really is, yeah, how we view things makes such a difference on our response, doesn't it? Then if we're leading a team, other people pick up on how we communicate, how we feel, how we act, and all the rest of it. Yeah, which is really good. One of the going back to one thing you mentioned there, which I think is a key point to bring out, and I think we need to be reminded of it regularly as leaders, how important it is to be vulnerable with the team to the right level. But it really is key that people know you're human as well, amongst all the pressures and responsibilities and targets and things like that, leading the organization. You're still human, aren't you? And people relate to human beings.
Yes, you have got it. The number one way for a leader, especially if you're in a positional authority situation, the number one way to build trust with your people is to make yourself vulnerable in some appropriate way. Yeah. And I think this is something that is really underappreciated, especially in the United States, where the kind of paradigm of leadership is look good, be right, and win. No. Be a human being, have a combination of competence and warmth.
Yeah. That's really good. Yeah.
I mean, so I'm practically saying, you tell your team, hey, here's something I'm struggling with. Here's a mistake I made. Here's something where I'm challenged. Here's something where I need your help. That makes your team feel like you need them rather than, oh, yeah, you're so super, you don't even need us. No, your team knows you need them and they know why they're there.
Yeah. Such an important thing. I know where I've been on teams where I know that I can help the leader and he's communicated that he wants my help. You feel so good because you know you've got something to offer that makes the whole team beneficial. I've been on the other side where I know I need to get the team on board because I know, I'm not the smartest one in the team with regards to this particular aspect. So I need to get their engagement and help. And to be able to communicate that to them is really helpful for me because we share the responsibility, we share the weight, and also, you get ideas and inputs that you wouldn't have got if you're the boss and you're trying to, show that you've got everything together. So totally agree. Yeah. No, that's really good.
I mean, considering that each person knows such a small percentage of everything on planet Earth, why would we try to do it alone, even if we are super smart and the manager, the boss, the leader? No, invite your team. It's a group genius kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
The wisdom of crowds.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So does that all feed in really well with how we get our teams to sort of make the impossible inevitable? Really, I think you've touched on quite a few bits, but let's dig into that for the rest of our conversation. Let's dig into that just to kind of rethink about certain things, maybe, or our approaches, or whatever. What is it that we need to think about?
Okay. Well, just imagine how excited you would be if your manager comes in and says, well, we'd like to kind of keep things going and make a small incremental improvement in quality and reduce the costs and somehow eke out a bit more profit. Does that sound exciting? Heck no. But if you sit there and say, I don't know how to do it, and it seems impossible, but you know what? A year from now, I have a crazy dream that our customers are saying, we transformed their lives, we saved their businesses, and we are a strategic partner that they would never, ever think of leaving because of what we have provided to them, and that they are raving about our people and the experiences they've had with us. And now, people, help me. What might make that possible? It seems impossible. What might make impossible possible? And who's in? And when you start talking like that, and then you even ask people, what's your dream? Oh, they'll get even bigger dream than yours. Don't just be limited by your tiny dream. Ask your people. If anything were possible, you had a magic wand, what would you instantly create that would transform our team, our company, our stakeholders, our clients, the world for the better? And you're going to find out that they've all been sitting on a treasure chest of ideas and nobody asked them.
Yeah.
Now, when you ask them, they're sure like, well, sure, I got lots of ideas. And every day they've been coming in, just doing their job and getting their paycheck. Boring.
Yeah. Yeah. You're not gonna keep good, talented people by not giving them ways to express their ideas, are you? It just doesn't work. People move on because there's lots of places that will eventually give them that opportunity.
And the number one reason that people are quitting today, right now, in the latest survey is they don't find their job fulfilling. I know everybody has to make money and pay their bills, but people want a purpose beyond profit, a mission that matters. And if you look at some results from Harvard Business Review, companies that have a purely financial target make less money because it's not inspiring to people.
Yeah. There's a level of emptiness, isn't there, if that's all there is? I mean, money's great, gives us a lot of opportunities to do different things, but there's more to life than just dollars, pounds, whatever your currency might be. Exactly. Yeah. So how can people inspire that? So for people, let me put it this way, for people listening that are right, Kimberley said, I need to kind of set the vision higher. I need to communicate, give people the opportunity for ideas and stuff. How else, or how can you build and develop that sort of engagement? So what are some of the things that work and what are some things that don't work? Because you can't necessarily run in every direction with every idea, can you? But how do you manage that well that keeps the momentum going forwards? Big question, I know.
Yeah, no, that's right. So every business needs to focus on 3 horizons. Horizon 1 is keep things going. Horizon 2 is make things better. Horizon 3 is breakthroughs, disruptive transformation. And you can't have the same person responsible for the disruption as the day-to-day. So you have to give people a chance to jump out of the day-to-day and be in the Horizon 3 world. So you definitely need to structure for that in your organization. You may rotate people in and out of that Horizon 3, or you may have a special kind of incubator team for that. Some companies I work with have something called an incubator team. Then if you're in there, you have to realize human beings, especially smart ones, they're afraid to say ideas if they don't know how to do it. But if you know how to do it, it's not a breakthrough. So you need to find a way to give people permission to say ideas without having the how. And I call that design thinking. That's a beautiful way of approaching things. Design thinking leverages lateral thinking to jump into the future and create a clear, vivid image of the future you're trying to create without any evidence it's possible and without knowing how, and then work backwards from there to develop a path to create it. So one of the great tools for that is called News from the Future. We're in the future. It's 3 to 5 years from now. We're reporting on this global BBC News and hundreds of millions of people are listening. And what are we being interviewed about? Where are we? What are we saying? What are the other people saying about us? And you get them to hallucinate like this and create these wildly imaginative news reports from the future, which are supposed to be impossible. Come to find out, oh my gosh, by the end of the news report, they don't seem impossible anymore. And some people have some ideas how to do it. And some people are saying, well, that's something we could do. There's a plan. Yeah, you go from impossible to let's start working on it in a matter of minutes or even hours, I guess. That's not too bad. And then you start prototyping and saying, it might not work. Yay, let's experiment. Let's prototype. I mean, I live in Silicon Valley. We are surrounded by failures here, but we don't call them failures. We call them prototypes.
Yeah, that's so good. Yeah, I like that. But it's true, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, the best ideas don't come fully formed, do they? I'm not sure who said that originally, but I think that's such a good quote that you have to give time and space for things to develop. I really like that as well. Just there's lots of things you said there just in those few moments that it's got me thinking in lots of different ways. So I'm definitely going to listen to this afterwards again, at least once. For everyone listening as well, definitely do the same, because if you're like me, we don't catch everything the first time. But yeah, like just as you were saying about it, there's certain people that are more gifted from a visionary perspective. I mean, some people might say, oh, they're just daydreamers or whatever, they're off in the clouds. It's like, well, they're not necessarily. And then there's other people that are really practical, but they don't necessarily get the inspiration. So if you can get them together in a team where one of them is the visionary and somebody else can actually make it work, then neither feels kind of incompetent or insufficient because they've not got both parts. And yet both people can interact, because, the practical person needs fuel, shall we say, and the vision is the fuel, isn't it? So like, give me the fuel, I can run with it, but I haven't got the fuel. And the other person's got the ideas, just like, I have no idea, like you say, no idea how to do it, so I'm not going to say it because that will be silly. It's like, no, that's not right. You need everybody sharing, don't you? And it's I suppose
we need everyone's perspective, right? Diverse teams win.
Yeah. And the challenge, I suppose, the ongoing challenge for the team leader, that whoever it is keeping that culture where it's safe to have lots of prototypes before we get to the finished product. Lots of discussions and lots of sharing of ideas that, or if I share it, they're going to want me to do it necessarily.
There you go.
Yeah, that's such a key thing. I like that. I really like that. I'm certainly going to take that and use that going forwards as well, in lots of different ways, I know. But yeah, that's really good. Tell us more. Anything on this that
Yeah.
anything else
Well,
you can say?
Sometimes I work with Japanese. Actually, a lot of times I work with Japanese companies,
Yeah.
and they hired me because they went to Silicon Valley mindset, innovation, and all that stuff. And I ask them, "Oh, great! You want to be innovators? When's the last time you celebrated a failure?" "Oh no, we don't do such things." You've got to find things where people took a risk and did the behaviors you want to see more of, but it didn't work out. And you need to celebrate, hey, they tried it. They experimented. They did what we all need to do more of. Hey, it didn't work out that time, but it's the way they behave that you want to see more of. And so whatever you reward will be repeated. If you only reward people when they do stuff that works out, then you get these really careful people who will just do things that they're sure of. But if you say, hey, look how so-and-so took a big risk and put all kinds of stuff in place, and we did an experiment and we learned 7 things from it that are going to help with the next experiment, and yay, bravo. Now that sends a message about what you want to see more of in your team. And that's the kind of team that's going to be innovating.
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, like if we were all kind of written off the moment we failed, like the world would be a terrible place, wouldn't it? We'd all be out of jobs and
no kidding.
Yeah, have no opportunities, whatever.
Well, that's why that life journey line, drawing it, and everybody puts their pictures up on the wall together, and you've got 30 people from 10 different countries looking at their life journeys saying, oh my gosh, everybody's had failures. Yeah, everybody's had failures. Everybody's had disappointments. It's called life. And then, by the way, there's a Japanese saying, Nana karobi yaoki, 7 times fall down, 8 times stand up.
Yeah, that's a good approach, isn't it? That's a mindset shift, isn't it? For people that have maybe struggled in the past with stuff that, didn't work. As much as you can, you manage risk, don't you? But within that, there has to be some margin, some scope, some availability for people to fail in a sort of productive, safe-ish way. And then learn from it. I think, and reflection is a key part as well, isn't it? Okay, what of that did work and what bits do we need to adjust? Because it probably wasn't all wrong, as you say. There's good stuff in it. But a lot of the times we can almost get embarrassed at failure, rush off and try and get involved with something else to prove that we can do it. And it's like, actually, maybe there was more benefit in that than we realize. So
I just want people to understand, of course it hurts. Ooh, I don't like failure. It's no fun. Yeah, I sink into the icy couch of despair, doom and gloom, and then get up and keep going, for crying out loud.
Yeah. No, that's really good. This is full of good stuff. I knew it would be. It's brilliant. Thank you, Kimberley.
No, thanks
for sharing your insights. It's powerful stuff. It really is. Just as we wrap this up, for people that want to find out more, about what you do, but also I know you've got lots of stuff on the website. You've written a book or two. You're involved in another book as well, aren't you? Tell us a little bit more briefly about the books, and then how people can touch base.
Okay. I wrote Scrappy Project Management because I realized most projects fail for completely predictable reasons. I wrote a workbook on inspired organizational cultures because I realized, holy cow, it's about the organizational cultures. It's not just about the leadership and teams. And then I wrote a big book about scrappy women in business with a bunch of my scrappy gal pals. We are amazing. And they can get them on Amazon. And of course, reach out. My website. If you can spell my name, you can find my website. No problem. There aren't that many Wieflings on planet Earth. Wiefling.com, KimberleyWiefling.com. Just Google me. You'll see me and my family.
Okay, that sounds good. Yeah, and there'll be a link in the show notes for where people are, wherever they're finding this podcast. There should be a link.
I'll share anything I have and I can to support. Just please reach out. Happy to share.
Yeah, no, it's brilliant. I had a quick look on there earlier. There's videos on there. There's blogs. There's lots of good stuff.
Lots of tools.
Definitely.
And my team, Silicon Valley Alliances, it's a group of people I've worked with for the past 15 years here, Europe, and Asia, and Australia. We are having a blast working together virtually. in our pajamas from the waist down. It's just been fun.
Absolutely. Yeah, it makes the world a smaller place, doesn't it? And a lot more.
It does. I got to work in Zambia last year. It's virtually. Can imagine me working in the middle of Africa in Zambia with 15 wonderful entrepreneurs, teaching them entrepreneurship. Yeah.
Yeah. There's so many opportunities available to us now, isn't there? If we
on.
Allow ourselves to think and to seize opportunities. So yeah. Brilliant. Thank you. I think you should definitely come back at some point, because we've not really dug into anywhere near the depths of your wisdom and insights.
Let's do it. Let's expand our brains. Yay.
Absolutely.
Woo.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's really good. And you run workshops as well, don't you? And all sorts of lots of different ways of helping people. So
yeah. We call work shock therapy. Actually, it is a learning laboratory, and where people just get to transform themselves, because just knowing how changes nothing. You've got to go and exercise those muscles and get those leadership skills in good shape so you can go into the arena and do the right thing for your team.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think next time you come back, we should definitely talk about managing change. I think, or culture. I mean, there's both. They're hugely influential aspects to whatever business people are running that are listening. Definitely. Anyway, for now, let's wrap it up there. But thank you for everything that you've shared. It's been brilliant. Yeah, this could be one of my favorite episodes. This. Definitely going to hear it. I want to be your favorite. Absolutely. Yeah. No, that's brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Everybody listening as well, as I say, make sure you hear this 2 or 3 times at least, and just grab 1 or 2 bits and pieces that you can do actionable things on straight away. That's where you really start to see momentum. And lots of different things that Kimberley shared that will just help us change our mindset or our perspective about certain things within our teams, within our organizations. So lots of different things we can take from this episode. So make sure you make it work for you. As always, we encourage you to take action, because that's really where change happens. So as we close this episode, just remember that we believe in you and we believe in your potential, and we will catch you next time.